projects like stepping stone walkway area that haven't been done. Nothing's mulched. There are a lot of experiments and a lot of things in here I will be pointing at and saying what their name is and where I bought them, or like if they had been here before. But you walk into the shaded area and there's an arbor. This arbor was actually used for our wedding photos. We weren't married under it. It was just in my in-laws' backyard, and that's where we got our like formal wedding pictures done. And it still has the big flowers on it. We actually just anchored it probably like a week ago. Kept falling over in the wind. So if we step through here, I'm going to talk about these plants right here when we first walk in, and then I'm going to take the left and go this way and go around and then go in the back where there's a loop and then come back to here, just so you guys don't get lost. The lungwort and the T-Rex hosta were bought at Smith Acres in Niantic. This bleeding heart, along with any other sad looking fallen over bleeding hearts throughout the garden, are from my friend Katie. Her yaya had this really gorgeous garden, and when I reached out to people on Facebook about getting shade loving plants for free or having me at least dig them up, she offered and we both dug them up. So that's from her. And right here, and it goes along this walkway, I bought from a woman on Marketplace. Right here when you walk through, this is lemon balm. I'm hoping to make a tea out of it. That is from a woman in Salem who was like super helpful and told me like what it needs, and I can make tea out of it, and so it's cool. Bleeding heart. This is Lobelia Cardinalis, and one day it'll look like this, but I got it on sale at Smith Acres because you can see that at the bottom it wasn't doing super well, and they gave me a super great deal on it. This, I believe, is a type of mint. I will insert the name here. This mint and this frost-looking ground cover name is from my friend Chelsea. Next to it, along this same side, in between the pathway and a brick wall that is another thing to be finished, are two foxgloves. I got them from the same person in Montville, but I got the mint, the first mint I showed you, and they're starting to do their stalk things, and eventually they will bloom. In front of it are white bee balm and pink bee balm from the woman in Salem. We have some wild pansies here, and as you can see, some grass and some weeds. The weeds at some points you'll see throughout the garden have these little yellow flowers, and I like them, so I kept them. There is some sedum that I got from my old boss here, along with right there. So this whole line was basically where these stones used to be, so we gained some garden. Right here we have a flowering dogwood. I think it's a dogwood pagoda. I bought that from the plant sale for the local high school that my husband works at. This is a daylily. I think it's a Stella d'Oro, not entirely sure, with an overgrown dandelion just like flopped over on it. And you can see the purple blooms in these variegated leaves. Is a periwinkle vine. Right near a baby cedar sapling that was in that planter. An overgrown crazy rhododendron. These two things were here before we got here, as was this hydrangea, which eventually will do a bloom, I hope. This is like the healthiest and nicest it's looked in like the 3 years we've been here, or almost 4 years. By the walkway, because I kind of stepped in there. I did actually plant some of the bleeding heart roots in here. This we're gonna get rid of. It was here before we got here, but right now it catches rainwater, and then I use it in the garden. Anyway, right near the walkway, we have some of the periwinkle, some wild pansies, some sundrops, and some black-eyed Susans. Now these two also bought from the plant sale. And they do okay back here. We'll see how it goes this year. And I believe this tiny little guy, I believe this is a baby little lily. We'll see. Some more vine. I believe these are some type of a lily. Don't know what. They were here before we got here, as was the beach grass. 2 beach grasses, and you can see there's actually more periwinkle in the tree line. That looks so cool, and it covers up like where I put the brush from cutting back the beach grass. You can also see in here there's some really cool moss. And it looks really pokey and like, don't touch it, but it's really soft, like super soft. I love this look. I love the textures and how different everything looks, but it looks so natural, and it is natural. Like, I didn't do anything here. It's just super pretty. Right here, near the beach grass, I actually transplanted. Oh, there's the focus. These bigger clover-looking leaves are actually columbine, and that is located right across the pathway, basically, from the beach grass. Now, you'll also notice this beach grass looks very different. It's super variated. It's super pretty. So I missed going over what was on this inside loop of this pathway, so we're gonna go back towards the turtle. Like I said before, bleeding heart. This red colored leaved small bush is a Japanese pieris. In the spring they bloom with white flowers. This one didn't, but the one in the back, you can kind of see the spent blooms from here. We'll get an up close of that when we go back there. This is a daylily. The Japanese pieris, all of the Japanese pierises, the daylily, were from a local high school plant sale, as was this black-eyed Susan right here. There's some mint right here. Like I said, it's in front of the turtle and it goes that way. And it's actually perked up a lot because of the rain we've been getting. This is a little cedar sapling left here for the texture, and I just want to see how fast it'll grow. Wild pansies. At one point they were blooming. Now I just kind of left them as like a filler, and eventually I'll move them. So if we continue on this path, we have some spearmint. That is from my friend Chelsea. The red columbine I showed you, and this beach grass, all of this was already here for us. And then we're gonna go around the loop. Here's the cool view of the rest of the garden. Keep going and going. Here are the spent buds and the starting of red leaves of the other Japanese pieris. This one I had to tie to a stake because it kept falling over, and hopefully I'm training it to stay up. This is a bitter nut, I believe. That's what the Google Lens told me, and we're gonna see what that does. Here's a view from the back of the garden of the area we just toured. Like I said earlier, these are T-Rex hostas. This is a variegated Solomon seal. Can focus. I really love the variation in the leaves. It's super pretty. The bells are spent, the blooms are gone. In the spring, it has these white blooms that are super pretty. I got them when they were still kind of there, but they've gone away. It's past their time. Another bleeding heart from Katie and her Yaya. This is a type of sedum that a friend of mine gave me. It seems to really like it back here, especially because it's like rainy. Underneath the T-Rex hosta, we have some forget-me-nots from my friend Chelsea, along with a different type of columbine. I believe this is a pink variety, where the one I have is a red variety. They're also called Eagle's Claw, and it sounds much more cool, much cooler than columbine. Okay, so now we're going to go on the back path, continuing. There's the Solomon seal that I showed you earlier with the T-Rex hosta. Across the pathway is another Solomon seal. I like the mirroring that this does. Continue on. across from the Solomon Seal is Bleeding Heart. These will eventually come back. I hope. The internet keeps telling me. This is a type of Hosta, the same friend that gave me the sedum I showed you, the purple one over there. It's the same owners. And if you look at the leaves and you're like, what happened? We had a windstorm and our tree whirls down these little like branches, and you can kind of see the remains. It zooms and focuses. And there's a lot of whirlybirds attached to them. Today's wasn't that bad, but you can see stuff get stuck in the leaves and kind of messes them up. But it's like a bluish color. I don't know exactly the variety, but I really enjoy the different, I like the blue-green with that variety of Solomon Seal. It's super pretty. Next to the blue-green Hosta, we have this little baby fern. Any of the ferns, other than this really tall one I'm about to show you guys, came from my in-laws' backwoods, and I just dug it up. Here's the big pretty fern. I'm going to insert a clip of when the sun is setting on another day, because it just is so pretty. Originally, I bought this whole thing from a woman in Salem, the same woman I talked about earlier, and I was only going to buy this variated Hosta. However, when she went to dig it up, because she dug it live in front of me, it was rooted into this royal Hosta and this ostrich fern. It adds such a jungle vibe to this New England garden. Like, it's insane. It's one of my, like, I love everything in this garden, but this is like a statement. If we continue down the path, maybe like 2 feet, we have some hostas. These are the same kind of hosta. This just fell off, and it actually has grown a lot in the past week. The leaves were like only that size, and it kind of just like grew. Don't know what kind of hosta this is. I think it's a lime green one, or like limelight, I think it's called. Now we're at the circle. This garden in front of me, because it was separate from the other garden when we first got here, is mainly lily of the valley and this other ground cover that was in here. I tore a lot of the ground cover up. Oh, and the rose of Sharon and whatever this is was already here. But anyway, I tore a lot of that ground cover up and replaced it with more lily of the valley. The lily of the valley was from plant sale. And there's also a white aster in here and some mint sprigs. The mint sprigs I got from my friend Katie. The asters from the plant sale. This hosta, which is across from the loop and borders onto another tree line, is painted, I believe. It's really cool. It adds a huge pop of color to this garden. That was a gift from a friend, the same friend of the other hostas in the sedum. Right here we have some sad looking branches. I cut some of the big rhododendron that's out of control near the cedar sapling, and I wanted to see if I could like reroot it here, and to be honest, it doesn't look absolutely terrible. That one does, but that one doesn't. I cut some of the smaller branches off of this one and have them sitting in water so that the blooms can at least happen. Continuing on, you can see the lily of the valley. I'll also show some up close of that. And we have a rose of Sharon. It doesn't do super great in the deep shadow of this tree, but I didn't plant it here, so we're gonna continue leaving it here. It seems happy enough. And these are not permanent. I literally put these sticks here to make sure that the people, when they were coming to deliver the shed, didn't step on my lily of the valley. Here's that weird ground cover I didn't like. I saw someone selling this by like the cubic foot on Facebook Marketplace, and I kind of wish I knew about doing that last year when we ripped it up from our patio. There's another painted hosta. Somewhere in here is another aster. Another portion of that bleeding heart from Katie. Another fern. And there's another fern. The ferns, like I said earlier, are from my in-laws' garden. There's so much moss here and clover, and it makes me really happy. This is a spirea or bridal wreath. We have a border bush in our front area between us and a neighbor, and I just cut off a branch and stuck it in the ground. Another experiment. This is a lilac tree bush thing I bought from the woman in Salem. Hasn't done anything yet, but I think it's because it's been such weird weather. Another bleeding heart. I believe this is another type of mint. Here's the name. And here's another mint. I believe that's spearmint. Oh yeah, that's spearmint. Good to know. I love that about mints and lemon balms is that you can figure out what the difference is by just like touching it and smelling it. I forgot to say that there's lily of the valley in here as well, behind this bleeding heart, near the little baby fern. The lily of the valley was bought from the plant sale. And over here we have this hunk of bleeding heart, again from Katie. And a May apple, which I believe is dying back. It'll hopefully come back. And eventually, next year, when it's spring again, it will have a white bloom where that little knobby thing is. Here's the view from the Rose of Sharon garden of all of the garden. You can see over there is part of my rhododendron garden, which I will be doing a separate video on, and I might combine that with the things that are on my porch and the things that are located in my front yard. We shall see. Hope you guys really enjoyed this video. I enjoyed filming it. If it went too fast for you and you want to know more information about any of the plants, I highly recommend looking them up by somebody else that knows a lot more information. I'm just going with what I know and the things that I've looked up. Anyway, I hope to see you guys soon. I'll be posting more videos about all my other garden projects and some more thankful videos while we're home stuck during quarantine. Alright, see you guys later. Bye!